Donald Trump wants to distract Americans, but just from his policies. Unfortunately, we still have to look at his face. This is just another day. You know, we all have that one person we know who posts a bunch of crazy shit online. Well, today we were reminded that person is running our country.
The president reposted an online post without context, by the way. He didn't add any commentary to it, but the person that he reposted said that former President Biden had been executed and that he was actually replaced with clones and robots that were doing the job for him. Again, this is, of course, completely unfounded.
Do you see how much professional deference is given to anyone holding the office of the presidency? Donald Trump reposts a batshit crazy conspiracy theory that Joe Biden was executed and replaced by a robotic clone, and still the coverage is, these claims are completely unfounded. When it would be perfectly acceptable for her to just throw up her hands and go, don't know what to tell you, dude is a straight up lunatic. But sadly, it's true. Our current president amplified a truly moronic conspiracy theory that suggests Biden was executed in 2020 and replaced by a robotic clone. And to be clear, I'm not calling it moronic just because it's laughably absurd. I'm also saying it because if their logic holds true, that means the Democrats orchestrated this entire plan and still made a shitty fucking robot who blew that debate back in 2024. Plus, you know that Jake Tapper would already be promoting his new robot book on CNN right now. But as easy as it is to dismiss Trump's posts as outlandish and offensive, for some, it's hard to deny that they're fantastic conversation starters.
I know Trump's sense of humor. I'm sure he was just trolling him. What do you think?
Well, I would hope so. But I think also it gets to the real heart of the scandal, which is who in the world was president for the past 4 years if it wasn't Joe Biden? Was it a clone? Was it a cable of White House officials?
Oh, if that pivot was any more tortured, it would be sitting in a cell in Abu Ghraib. You know, President Trump was obviously joking when he said that Joe Biden is really the Loch Ness Monster dressed in a suit, but it does raise the question, was Joe Biden a monster for America? But the reality is that Donald Trump flicking conspiracy theories into the ether is not a sign that he's crazy or unhinged or even joking. It's a sign that he knows exactly what he's doing, but so do we. He is trying to distract everyone from the fact that he promised Americans the world and still has nothing to show for it. Where are those trade deals?
When will we see an actual agreement? Will we see any this week?
I expected that we were going to probably see one perhaps as early as last week.
I think we're going to get a lot of deals done. I think they're all being set up. We could sign lots of deals now, but I think we're trying to make them better and better and better.
You see, they could sign a bunch of deals now if America wanted some quick, shitty ones. Those deals are super simple, but they're working on even better deals. I mean, my God, this administration just keeps digging a bigger and bigger hole for themselves. They're like a boyfriend who forgot his anniversary. Oh, babe, I'd never forget our special day. The reason that I don't have a gift right now is because it's still being built and dipped in gold in Italy. There is no gift in the same way that there is no deal. And the longer they keep up this lie, the more impressive this non-existent deal has to be. Americans are getting to the point where if at the end of this 90 days our trade deals don't result in every car being manufactured in Detroit and every iPhone costing $7, there's going to be hell to pay. They've got nothing, and they know it. Trump vowed to end this war between Ukraine and Russia on day one, and today his press secretary still has to field questions like this.
What's the president's reaction to that Ukrainian drone attack, stunning drone attack on Russian air bases? I'm sure he saw that. What's his reaction?
Well, look, the reaction is this war needs to come to an end. And this war has been brutal from both sides. Too many people have died. And the president wants this war to end at the negotiating table. And he's made that very clear to both leaders, both publicly and privately.
This president has made it very clear publicly and privately, and yet somehow Putin has still not sat down his weapons, even after Trump's skilled act of international diplomacy insisting, Vladimir, stop. But who can say why Putin isn't taking our president seriously? Maybe it's because Trump uses the same platform to end international conflicts as he does to float the idea that our previous president is a robot. Or how about the fact that this president has not decreased government spending the way that he promised to, and in fact, his big beautiful bill does the opposite.
Mr. Speaker, the Joint Committee on Taxation, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, the Tax Foundation, the Penn-Wharton budget model all say this will add trillions of dollars to the deficit. Are you really telling the American people this will not add one penny to the debt and deficit? You can guarantee that?
I am telling you, this is going to reduce the deficit. A lot of these groups use what they call static scoring and not dynamic scoring. Dynamic scoring, in layman's terms, is reality.
You remember being in math class in high school and just wishing there was a way to make your incorrect answers on the test somehow be the right ones? Well, turns out that all you had to do was become the Speaker of the House. See, Trump's bill doesn't add to the deficit. Everyone else is simply using the wrong type of math. And not only that, those cuts to Medicaid everyone keeps talking about, those aren't happening either.
This bill will preserve and protect the programs, the social safety net, but it will make it much more common sense. Look, 1 out of every $5 or $6 in Medicaid is improper. We have illegal immigrants on the program. We have able-bodied working adults that don't have a work requirement that they would have in TANF or even SNAP. And those are something that's very important to institute. That's what this bill does. No one will lose coverage as a result of this bill.
It is a shame the news can't just add an asterisk to Russ Vought's head when he's speaking. Because what Trump's director of the Office of Management and Budget means is that no one they care about will lose coverage as the result of this bill. The CBO projects that 13.7 million people will lose healthcare coverage under Trump's bill, and I'll give you a hint which people they are. Not the rich ones. This is why the president is tweeting garbage about Joe Biden. Donald Trump uses crazy tweets for the same reason that bald guys rock a ponytail, to distract us from what's really going on. If American small businesses were experiencing a windfall of economic prosperity, or the war in Ukraine had stopped, or Trump actually stuck to his campaign promises not to raise the deficit, or that he wouldn't touch Medicaid, do you really think for a second that he'd be promoting garbage theories online? Do you think for a second he'd be wasting oxygen claiming that Joe Biden died 5 years ago and has been replaced by a robot? Not a chance. This is a strategy, and not even a secret one.
I said, all we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with 3 things. They'll bite on one, and we'll get all of our stuff done. Bang, bang, bang. These guys will never be able to recover. But we got to start with muzzle velocity.
Muzzle velocity. The literal definition means the speed at which a bullet leaves the muzzle of a gun, which proves 2 things. First, when firearm quickness is your analogy for how you want to deal with the media, I think it's safe to say that your country definitely has a problem with guns. But 2, this president is following Bannon's playbook to a T. Trump knows that Joe Biden is not a robotic clone, but he also knows that if he floods the zone at muzzle velocity, the media won't be able to handle it. They can't avoid it any more than Matt Gaetz can avoid a high school cheerleader car wash. And frankly, the media shouldn't have to avoid it. When the leader of the free world uses his platform to amplify dangerous and offensive conspiracy theories, it deserves attention. But it also deserves proper scrutiny for what it really is. A not-so-clever diversion. A time-stamped indicator of how poorly things are going for this administration and, in turn, the American people. So this president can tweet out all the crazy shit he wants, but the reality is that everyone can plainly see, up top, he's got nothing. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.